Landman Season 2 may have ended with a sense of closure. But if there's one thing we've learned from this story, it's that peace never lasts for long. Especially not for someone like Cammy. By the end of the last season, she was already standing on unstable ground. Monty was gone, the company was barely holding together, and the people she once trusted were either gone or slowly drifting away. And now, going into Season 3, it feels like all of that pressure is finally catching up to her. You know, Cammy has always been strong. She's been the kind of person who refuses to back down, even when the odds are clearly against her. She believed in the company when no one else did. She fought to keep it alive, even when people like Tommy and Nate were already seeing the cracks. And that's what makes this situation even more intense. Because now, for the first time, it feels like Cammy herself is starting to doubt everything she once stood for. Think about it. The company was never meant to survive without Monty. That was made very clear. And yet, Cammy kept pushing forward, trying to prove that she could hold everything together on her own. But what happens when reality hits harder than expected? What happens when the numbers don't add up? When the deals start falling through? And when the people around you stop believing in your vision? That's exactly where Season 3 seems to be heading. Cammy is no longer in control the way she used to be. Instead, she's reacting. She's trying to fix problems as they come, but each solution only seems to create a bigger issue. And slowly, that confidence we saw in her, it starts to crack. At the same time, there's something even more personal going on here. Because losing the company is one thing, but losing the people she trusted, that's a different kind of pain. Tommy is gone, building something new. Nate is no longer by her side the way he used to be. And the loneliness that comes with that, it's starting to show. And this is where things get really interesting. Because Cammy is not the kind of person who asks for help. She never has been. She would rather fight a losing battle than admit that she needs someone else. But in Season 3, it feels like she might not have a choice anymore. There's this growing sense that something big is about to push her over the edge. Maybe it's a deal that completely collapses. Maybe it's someone betraying her at the worst possible moment. Or maybe it's just the weight of everything hitting her all at once. Whatever it is, it leads to a moment we've never really seen before. Cammy breaking down. And when that happens, there's only one person she can think of, Tommy. Now, this is where the tension really builds up. Because calling Tommy is not just about asking for help. It's about swallowing her pride. It's about admitting that he might have been right all along. And more importantly, it's about reopening a door that was never truly closed, just left behind. But here's the thing. Tommy is not in the same place anymore. He's moved on. He's building his own company, surrounded by people who trust him and believe in his vision. So, when Cammy reaches out, it's not just a simple conversation. It's a collision between the past and the present. And you have to wonder, how is Tommy going to react? Because on one hand, we know the kind of person he is. He's someone who helps the people he cares about, no matter what happened before. But on the other hand, things didn't end well between them. There were disagreements, tension, and decisions that pushed them in completely different directions. So when Cammy finally makes that call, is Tommy going to pick up without hesitation? Or is he going to pause for a second and think about everything that led them to this point? And even if he does help her, what does that mean for his new company? Because, let's be honest, nothing in this story comes without consequences. If Tommy steps in to help Cammy, he's not just helping an old partner. he's potentially risking everything he's building right now. And that's what makes this situation so unpredictable. Cammy needs Tommy. That much is clear. But the real question is, does Tommy still have a place for her in his world? Or is this the moment where their paths cross one last time, before going separate ways forever? Now let's shift our focus to Tommy. Because while Cammy is struggling to hold everything together, Tommy is doing the exact opposite. He's building something new, something stronger, and most importantly, something that is completely under his control. By the end of season 2, we saw him walk away from the chaos and start fresh with his own company. And honestly, that decision might turn out to be the smartest move he ever made. You know, Tommy has always been a step ahead. Even when things were falling apart around him, he never really lost sight of the bigger picture. While everyone else was trying to save what was already sinking, Tommy was thinking about what comes next. And now, in season 3, we're finally seeing the results of that mindset. His new company is not just another business. It's a statement. It's proof that he doesn't need to rely on anyone else to succeed. With Cooper as president, Nate handling the finances, Rebecca managing operations, and the rest of the crew backing him up. This is a team that actually works. It's tight, it's loyal, and unlike before, there's a sense of trust that wasn't always there at Mount X. But here's the interesting part. Even though everything looks perfect on the surface, you can't ignore the fact that this kind of success comes with pressure. A lot of it. Tommy has investors to answer to, expectations to meet, and a reputation to maintain. And one wrong move could put all of that at risk. Now, imagine this. Right when things are starting to take off, right when Tommy is finally in control of his own future, Cammy calls him. That's not just bad timing. That's the kind of moment that can shake everything. Because, let's be real here, Cammy is not just anyone. She's a part of his past, a part of the company he walked away from, and a reminder of everything he chose to leave behind. So when her name shows up on his phone, it's not going to be easy for him to ignore it. But at the same time, picking up that call could pull him right back into the mess he worked so hard to escape. And that's where the real conflict begins. On one side, you have Tommy, the businessman. The guy who made a clean break, who is focused on growth, stability, and building something that actually lasts. This version of Tommy knows that getting involved with Cammy again could create problems. Not just for him, but for his entire team. But on the other side, you have Tommy the person. The one who understands what Cammy is going through. The one who knows how hard she fought to keep everything together. And deep down, the one who probably never stopped caring about her situation. So what does he do? Does he ignore the call and protect everything he's built? Or does he answer it, knowing that it might drag him back into a situation he can't fully control? And even if he decides to help her, it's not going to be simple. Because helping Cammy doesn't just mean giving advice. It could mean negotiating deals, dealing with the same people he walked away from, and possibly even putting his own company in direct conflict with hers. Think about that for a second. What if the only way to save Cammy's company is by making a move that hurts Tommy's business? What if helping her means losing something he just started building? That's the kind of situation that changes everything. And let's not forget about the team around Tommy. People like Nate, Rebecca, and Cooper. They all trust him. They followed him because they believed in his vision. So if he suddenly starts making decisions based on his past with Cammy, it could create tension within the group. Especially someone like Rebecca. She's smart, she's sharp, and she knows how these situations can spiral out of control. If she senses that Tommy is getting emotionally involved, she might push back hard, and that could lead to cracks in the very foundation of this perfect team. So while Cammy's breakdown is one side of the story, Tommy's reaction to it is just as important. Because this is not just about helping someone in need. It's about choosing between the past and the future. And the moment he makes that choice, that's when everything starts to shift. Because no matter what he decides, there's no going back after that. Either he stays focused and keeps building his empire, or he turns around, steps back into Cammy's world, and risks losing everything he just created. And knowing this show, nothing is going to go as smoothly as it seems. But while everything between Cammy and Tommy is building up, there's another storyline quietly growing in the background. And it might end up being even more dangerous. I'm talking about Cooper and Ariana. Because if you remember how season 2 ended for them, you already know that their situation is far from over. On the surface, it looks like they survived the worst. They went through chaos, fear, and a situation that could have destroyed them completely. But somehow, they made it out together. And now, heading into season 3, it feels like they're trying to move forward. Trying to build a normal life after everything that happened. But here's the problem. Nothing about their situation is normal. What happened that night didn't just disappear. Yes, we were told that the man died of a heart attack, not directly because of Cooper's punches. But let's be honest, that doesn't erase what really happened. Cooper was still involved. He still crossed a line. And in a world like this, lines like that don't just fade away. They come back. And that's exactly what makes their story so tense going into season 3. Because while Cooper is now the president of Tommy's new company, trying to step into a leadership role and prove himself, there's still a shadow hanging over him. A shadow that could come back at any moment and destroy everything he's building. You know, Cooper has always been one of those characters you root for. He's loyal, he's hardworking, and he genuinely cares about the people around him. But at the same time, he's also emotional. And when he reacts, he doesn't always think about the consequences. That's what got him into trouble in the first place. Now imagine this. Just when things are starting to look stable for him. Just when he's about to marry Ariana and finally have something good in his life. Someone brings that past back to the surface. Because we already saw that there were people interested in that case. People who didn't like how things were handled. And more importantly, people who might have their own reasons to reopen it. And if that happens, Cooper is not just dealing with legal trouble. He's dealing with powerful individuals who don't forget, and who definitely don't forgive. At the same time, Ariana is still recovering from everything she went through. What happened to her wasn't just a moment. It was something that changes a person. And even though she's trying to stay strong, trying to move forward with Cooper, you can't ignore the emotional weight she's carrying. So when their wedding comes into the picture, it doesn't feel like a simple, happy moment. It feels fragile. Like something that could fall apart at any second. And that's where the suspense really kicks in. Because what if their wedding day doesn't go as planned? What if that's the exact moment when everything comes crashing down? A confrontation, an arrest, or even just the truth coming out in the worst possible way. Any of that could turn their happiest moment into something tragic. And if that happens, it doesn't just affect them. It affects Tommy's entire operation. Think about it. Cooper is not just another employee. He's the president of the company. If he gets dragged into a legal battle, or something worse, the impact would be massive. Investors could panic. Deals could collapse. And suddenly, the perfect structure Tommy built starts to shake. So now, everything is connected. Cammy is struggling and might pull Tommy back into her world. Tommy is trying to keep his new company stable while dealing with that pressure. And at the same time, Cooper and Ariana are sitting on a situation that could explode at any moment. This is what makes Season 3 feel so unpredictable. Because it's not just one storyline moving forward. It's multiple problems building up at the same time. And sooner or later, they're all going to collide. And when they do, there's no way everyone is walking away from it. The real question is, who's going to fall first? Now let's talk about something that might look lighter on the surface, but could actually carry a lot more weight than we expect. And that's Tommy and Angela. Because somehow, in the middle of all this chaos, these two have decided to get back together. Not just that. They're remarrying, and honestly, if you know their history, you already know this is not going to be simple. Tommy and Angela have always had that chaotic energy. They argue, they clash, they push each other to the edge. But at the same time, they always find their way back. It's messy, it's unpredictable, but it works for them. And in Season 3, it looks like they're ready to give it another shot. But here's the thing. Timing matters. And right now, the timing couldn't be worse. Tommy is at a critical point in his life. He's building a new company, dealing with high-stakes decisions, and trying to keep everything stable. The pressure on him is already intense. And now, adding a relationship like this into the mix. That's not just emotional. It's risky, because Angela is not the kind of person who stays in the background. She's bold, she speaks her mind, and she doesn't hold back. Which means, if something goes wrong, if she feels ignored or pushed aside, she's going to react. And when she reacts, it's never quiet. Now imagine all of this happening at the same time. Cammy is trying to come back into Tommy's life. That's where things start to get really complicated, because even if Tommy is just trying to help Cammy from a professional standpoint, it's not going to look that way to everyone else. Especially not to Angela. From her perspective, this is the same woman who was a major part of Tommy's past, the same woman who he walked away from. And now suddenly, she's back, needing his help. That's not something you just ignore. So the question is, how is Angela going to react when she finds out? Is she going to trust Tommy and understand the situation? Or is she going to see this as a threat? Something that could pull him away again. And if there's one thing we know about Angela, it's that she doesn't like feeling second place. This could easily turn into a situation where Tommy is stuck in the middle. On one side, there's Cammy, who genuinely needs his help and might be going through the toughest time of her life. And on the other side, there's Angela, who is trying to rebuild their relationship and won't accept being pushed aside. That kind of pressure can break anyone, and it doesn't stop. Because relationships like this don't just affect personal lives. They affect decisions. If Tommy starts hesitating, if he starts second-guessing himself because of what's happening at home, it could impact the way he runs his company. And in a business where every move matters, even a small mistake can lead to big consequences at the same time. There's also the possibility that Angela becomes more involved than expected. Maybe she starts paying attention to what Tommy is doing with Cammy. Maybe she starts asking questions. And maybe she uncovers something that Tommy didn't plan to reveal. And if that happens, things could spiral very quickly. Because now, it's not just about business or helping someone in need. It becomes personal. And once things turn personal in a story like this, there's no clean way out. What makes this even more intense is the fact that Tommy is trying to keep everything balanced. He wants his company to succeed. He wants his relationship with Angela to work. And deep down, he probably doesn't want to see Cammy fall apart either. But the reality is, he might not be able to have all three. At some point, he's going to have to make a choice. And that choice could cost him more than he expects. Because while everything might look stable right now, you can already feel the tension building. One wrong move, one misunderstanding, or one emotional decision, and everything he's trying to hold together could start falling apart. And when that happens, it won't just affect Tommy, it will affect everyone connected to him. Now, let's finally talk about what everyone is waiting for. The release date. Because after everything that's building up in the story, the only question left is, when are we actually going to see all of this unfold? So far, the official renewal news for Season 3 has already given fans a reason to get excited. The show is moving forward, and production is expected to begin around April or May 2026. And if we look at the pattern from previous seasons, things start to get really interesting. You see, earlier, the gap between filming and release wasn't that long. Once production started, it usually took around 6 months before episodes began airing. And if they follow that same timeline again, we could be looking at a release somewhere around November 2026. Now, of course, nothing is confirmed yet. Delays can happen. Schedules can shift. But based on everything we know right now, a late 2026 release feels very realistic. And honestly, that timing actually works perfectly. Because by then, all the hype, all the theories, and all the questions fans have right now, they're only going to grow stronger. People are already debating what Cammy is going to do next. Whether Tommy will help her or not. What's going to happen to Cooper. And how all these storylines are going to connect. And that's exactly what makes this wait so exciting. Because Season 3 doesn't feel like a simple continuation. It feels like a turning point. Think about it. Every character is standing at a crossroads. Cammy is on the edge, possibly about to lose everything she fought for. Tommy is building something new, but risks getting pulled back into the past. Cooper and Ariana are trying to move forward, but their past is still chasing them. And Angela is stepping back into Tommy's life at a time when everything is already unstable. All of these stories are moving in different directions. But sooner or later, they're going to collide. And when they do, it's not going to be small. Because this show has never been about easy solutions.